The cereal most Americans with type 2 diabetes eat every morning has a glycemic index of 74. Cheerios, the cereal marketed as heart healthy for over 50 years, raises blood sugar faster than table sugar. Corn Flakes have a glycemic index of 81, which is higher than white bread and nearly as high as pure glucose. And one clinical study measured corn flakes at 131, more than twice the glycemic index of Bran cereal eaten at the same serving size. The breakfast aisle of every American grocery store is filled with products that carry the words whole grain, heart healthy, and high fiber on the front of the box, while quietly delivering one of the fastest blood sugar spikes available in any food category. And here's the part that changes everything. The cereal that is genuinely protective for blood sugar is on the same shelf, costs the same or less, and has a glycemic index of 42. The difference between the worst cereal and the best cereal for a diabetic is 89 points on the glycemic index. That difference shows up on your glucometer within 90 minutes of breakfast and in your HbA1c 3 months from now. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 types of breakfast cereal ranked from worst to best for blood sugar with the exact glycemic index of each, the brand names available at Walmart and Costco, and the specific label words that tell you which side of that 89-point gap you are buying. I'm Dr. Sarah Walker. Did you know that only 1% of people who watch this video subscribe? Hit subscribe right now, free, and it keeps this content coming every week. Before we continue, if your morning right now includes a bowl of Cheerios or cornflakes with skim milk and a glass of orange juice, you have created one of the highest glycemic breakfasts that exists in the American diet. 3 high GI carbohydrates with no protein, no fat, and no fiber to buffer any of them. The morning glucose protocol was built to fix exactly this window. The link is in the pinned comment below. The usual reminder. Everything here complements your medical treatment, never replaces it. The mechanism that explains why cereal GI varies so dramatically comes down to one word: processing. All cereals start as whole grains with intact cell walls, fiber, and starch that digests slowly. The manufacturing process, which involves extruding, puffing, flaking, and cooking at high temperatures, pre-gelatinizes the starch. Pre-gelatinized starch is starch that has already been partially broken down by the factory before it reaches your digestive system. Digestive enzymes that would normally need minutes to hours to access the starch inside an intact grain can now break it down in minutes. The more processing, the more pre-gelatinization, the higher the glycemic index. This is why Cheerios, which are made from whole oats, have a higher glycemic index than rolled oat porridge made from the same grain. The puffing process that creates the O shape pre-gelatinizes the oat starch completely. You are eating pre-digested grain. Your blood sugar does not know the difference between Cheerios and table sugar because your digestive system processes them at nearly the same speed. The fiber on the nutrition label is real. The whole grain claim on the front is technically accurate. But both are irrelevant to glycemic impact once the manufacturing process has pre-gelatinized the starch. The fiber that remains in a puffed or flaked cereal is not forming the viscous gel that slows glucose absorption in an intact grain. It has been physically disrupted by the same processing that disrupted the starch. The label tells you what was in the grain before processing. Your glucometer tells you what happened after. The first type is puffed and extruded cereals. And this category includes the most popular breakfast cereals in America, along with some of the highest glycemic indexes of any food sold in a grocery store. Corn Flakes, glycemic index 81. Rice Krispies, glycemic index 82. Cheerios, glycemic index 74. Frosted Flakes, glycemic index 55, due to the sugar coating paradoxically slowing absorption slightly. Cocoa Puffs, glycemic index 77. Rice, Chex, glycemic index 89. These are the cereals in the most prominent shelf positions at every Walmart, Kroger, and Safeway in America. They are the cereals that appear in the most television commercials. They are the cereals that have been in American pantries since the 1950s. And they are, without exception, among the worst foods a person with type 2 diabetes can eat for breakfast. The clinical evidence is not ambiguous. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition directly compared Corn Flakes and Bran cereal at equal carbohydrate servings and found that the glucose response to Corn Flakes was 40% greater than to Bran cereal, with plasma insulin concentrations significantly higher as well. A separate analysis published in the same journal measured Corn Flakes at a glycemic index of 131, more than double the Bran cereal measured at 54. The difference was not in how fast glucose entered the blood, but in how efficiently the tissues removed it, suggesting that the extreme insulin spike from Corn Flakes was causing compensatory overcorrection that leads to the blood sugar crash and subsequent hunger that most people experience an hour after a bowl of cereal. For the person with type 2 diabetes, that compensatory overcorrection does not happen efficiently because insulin resistance means the tissues do not respond well to the insulin spike. The result is sustained elevated blood sugar rather than the crash. Same mechanism, different outcome depending on insulin sensitivity. Cheerios deserves special mention because its heart-healthy marketing has made it the default healthy cereal choice for the 55-plus generation for decades. The soluble fiber in Cheerios, beta-glucan from oats, is real and has genuine cardiovascular benefits at adequate intake. But the puffing process that creates the O shape pre-gelatinizes the oat starch to a GI of 74, eliminating the blood sugar protective effect that intact oat beta-glucan would provide. You get the cardiovascular benefit of the beta-glucan without the glycemic benefit. For heart health, reasonable. For blood sugar management in a person with type 2 diabetes, not a good morning choice. The second type is sweetened multi-grain cereals marketed as healthy, and this category is where the most dangerous mismatch between packaging claims and blood sugar reality exists. Raisin Bran, glycemic index 61. Despite its bran content and healthy image, the raisins add concentrated sugar, and the flake processing raises the GI significantly. Special K Original, glycemic index 69, despite being positioned as a weight loss and health food cereal for decades. Honey Nut Cheerios, glycemic index 72, higher than original Cheerios because of the added honey and sugar. Kellogg's Frosted Mini Wheats, glycemic index 58. Granola, highly variable, typically 55 to 65, but with added sugar in most commercial varieties that compounds the blood sugar impact. Granola is the cereal that most thoroughly exploits the health food image while delivering a problematic glycemic profile for diabetics. Most commercial granolas, including Quaker Natural Granola, Nature Valley, and Bare Naked, contain between 12 and 15 grams of added sugar per half-cup serving, which is already a smaller serving than most people consume. Combined with a glycemic index of 55 to 65 and a caloric density that makes portion control difficult, granola is one of the most common sources of hidden sugar in the American diabetics' morning routine. The word natural on a granola bag means nothing from a glycemic standpoint. The label warning for this entire category: any cereal where sugar appears in the first 3 ingredients is a high glycemic product regardless of what the front of the box claims. Look at the added sugar line on the nutrition facts. If it shows more than 5 grams per serving, the product is not appropriate as a daily breakfast for someone managing type 2 diabetes. And here I want to be direct with you. Knowing that Corn Flakes has a GI of 81 and that Cheerios is at 74 is information. What changes your morning blood sugar pattern is building a complete first 4 hours routine around that knowledge. Not just the cereal decision, but what to drink alongside it, what to eat before it, and how to make the best cereal choice at whatever grocery store you use. That is what the Morning Glucose Protocol delivers. 3 chapters. The coffee. Chapter on what goes in your morning cup, the first 4 hours menu with exactly what to eat and in what order, and the hidden sugar map that exposes Cheerios, Raisin Bran, granola, orange juice, flavored creamer, and every other product in your current morning routine that is quietly working against your blood sugar. Less than a doctor's visit, no subscription, lifetime access, and if it does not deliver, there is a guarantee. The link is in the pinned comment right below this video. The third type is Bran Flakes, and this is the first cereal on this list where the glycemic index drops into genuinely moderate territory. Bran Flakes, including Kellogg's All-Bran Flakes and Post-Bran Flakes, have a glycemic index of approximately 55, which is right at the boundary between medium and low GI. The reason Bran Flakes perform significantly better than corn flakes is that the bran, the outer layer of the wheat grain, is retained during processing. Bran contains insoluble fiber that partially resists the pre-gelatinization process and continues to slow starch digestion even after the flaking. A clinical study found that blood glucose and insulin responses were significantly lower for Bran cereal than for corn flakes at equal carbohydrate servings. The practical reality of Bran Flakes is that most people find them less palatable than sweetened cereals and compensate by adding sugar or honey, which negates the glycemic benefit. The correct preparation: half a cup of Bran Flakes with unsweetened almond milk, a tablespoon of natural peanut butter on the side, and half a teaspoon of cinnamon added to the bowl. The peanut butter adds 7 grams of protein and 8 grams of fat that slow gastric emptying and buffer the carbohydrate in the cereal. The cinnamon adds GLUT4 transporter improvement. That combination brings the effective blood sugar impact of Bran Flakes down significantly from its already moderate baseline. Kellogg's All-Bran Flakes and Post-Bran Flakes are available at virtually every U.S. grocery store, including Walmart. The price per serving is comparable to or lower than premium cereals. This is the minimum viable cereal upgrade for any diabetic currently eating corn flakes, Cheerios, or similar products. The fourth type is all-bran cereal, and it holds the lowest glycemic index of any widely available commercial breakfast cereal at approximately 42, tied with steel-cut oats and lower than most fruits and vegetables. All-Bran, particularly Kellogg's All-Bran Original, is made from wheat bran with very minimal processing. The dense, small pellets or shreds retain most of the bran fiber intact, which forms a viscous gel in the intestine that physically slows glucose absorption from the cereal itself and from anything else eaten at the same meal. The fiber content of All-Bran Original is 10 grams per half-cup serving, which is more fiber than most Americans consume in an entire day. That fiber content, primarily insoluble fiber from wheat bran, is the active ingredient that produces the GI of 42. A GI of 42 means that All-Bran raises blood sugar only 42% as fast as pure glucose. For a diabetic who has been eating cornflakes at GI 81, switching to All-Bran at GI 42 cuts the speed of blood sugar elevation in half from the same carbohydrate serving. That difference shows up in the fasting glucose the next morning because the blood sugar curve from the previous day's breakfast influences overnight glycemic stability. The challenge of All-Bran is texture and taste. The dense, dry pellets with a strong wheat bran flavor are an acquired preference that many people do not share. Strategies that work: mix half All-Bran with half a lower GI cereal like Muesli to improve palatability while preserving much of the GI benefit. Add unsweetened almond milk and let it sit for 3 minutes to soften. Top with fresh blueberries and a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. The berry sweetness compensates for the bran flavor while adding anthocyanins with anti-inflammatory properties. Kellogg's All-Bran Original is at Walmart and most major grocery chains. Post 100% bran is an equivalent product. The fifth type is natural unsweetened muesli, and it closes this list as the cereal with the most complete nutritional profile for blood sugar management, and one of the lowest glycemic indexes of any commercial cereal at approximately 49 to 55. Muesli is a mixture of rolled oats, nuts, seeds, and dried or fresh fruit, originally developed in Switzerland and consumed cold or soaked overnight. Natural muesli, specifically the unsweetened variety without added sugar or honey, has a glycemic index of 49 because the rolled oats retain significant beta-glucan fiber, the nuts add fat and protein that slow gastric emptying, and the seeds add additional fiber. The combination of carbohydrate from the oats, protein and fat from the nuts, and fiber from multiple sources creates the slowest possible glucose release of any conventional cereal preparation. The critical distinction is between natural muesli and commercial muesli with added sugar. Bob's Red Mill Muesli, available at Walmart and Costco, contains rolled oats, rye flakes, wheat flakes, sunflower seeds, almonds, and dried fruit with 0 added sugar. The dried fruit adds some natural sugar, but also fiber that moderates the glycemic impact. Alpen no added sugar, muesli and Familia Swiss muesli. No added sugar are equivalent options available at most U.S. grocery stores and on Amazon. Overnight soaked muesli prepared by mixing half a cup of natural muesli with unsweetened almond milk or plain Greek yogurt and refrigerating overnight applies the retrogradation principle we discussed in the oatmeal video on this channel. The overnight soaking converts some of the oat starch to resistant starch type 3, further lowering the effective glycemic index beyond the already low baseline. Add a tablespoon of chia seeds to the overnight soak, and the soluble fiber from the chia forms an additional gel layer that slows glucose absorption even further. That preparation, assembled in 3 minutes the night before, is one of the most blood sugar protective breakfast options available in any American grocery store at any price point. To summarize all 5 types from worst to best, puffed and extruded cereals including Corn Flakes GI81, Rice Krispies GI82, Cheerios GI74, and Rice Chex GI89. Pre-gelatinized starch causes near-instant glucose release, marketed as heart-healthy but clinically documented to spike blood sugar 40% more than Bran cereal. Sweetened multi-grain cereals including Raisin Bran GI61, Special K GI69, and most granola at GI55 to 65. Hidden sugar in first 3 ingredients, healthy packaging masking moderate to high glycemic impact, granola especially deceptive with 12 to 15 grams added sugar per serving, Bran Flakes GI55. First genuinely moderate option, Bran fiber resists some pre-gelatinization, best upgraded with peanut butter and cinnamon, Kellogg's All-Bran Flakes at Walmart. All-Bran Original GI42, lowest GI of any widely available commercial cereal, 10 grams fiber per serving, switches blood sugar trajectory entirely versus Corn Flakes, Kellogg's at Walmart and most grocery stores. Natural unsweetened muesli GI49 to 55, most complete nutritional profile, rolled oats plus nuts plus seeds, Bob's Red Mill at Walmart and Costco. Overnight soaking adds resistant starch for additional blood sugar protection. The single most impactful action you can take after watching this video is to go to your pantry right now and read the glycemic category of the cereal you currently have. If it is Corn Flakes, Cheerios, Rice Krispies, or any puffed cereal, it has a glycemic index above 74. If it is granola with sugar in the first 3 ingredients, it is a hidden sugar delivery system. Replace it on your next grocery run with All-Bran or natural muesli. The price difference is negligible. The blood sugar difference over 90 days is measurable in your HbA1c result. The morning cereal aisle was not designed to serve the blood sugar management needs of the 37 million Americans with type 2 diabetes. It was designed to sell boxes with health claims to a population that was told whole grain meant safe. The clinical data tells a different story. All-Bran and muesli are on the same shelf as Corn Flakes. They cost the same. They take the same time to pour, and they are separated from Corn Flakes by 89 points on the glycemic index. That distance is in your hands to cross, starting tomorrow morning. Comment below, what cereal are you currently eating every morning? And what number is on the glycemic index for that cereal after watching this video? Tell me. That answer tells me whether this video reached the people who needed it most. Share this video with someone who has type 2 diabetes and who starts every day with Cheerios or cornflakes, believing they are protecting their blood sugar. They deserve to know what 74 and 81 mean for their morning glucose. You know that less than 1% of people who watch our videos subscribe? If this made a difference today, hit subscribe, free, and it keeps this information coming every week. I'm Dr. Sarah Walker. And remember,